Today I'm telling you all about Elliot Rodger. He was a misogynist with a YouTube channel who massacred innocent people in his college town and was dubbed King of Incels by guys on the internet. He really was one of the worst people of all time. His father, Peter Rodger, was a prominent British filmmaker. His mother, Lee Chin, worked as a research assistant at a film company. And his grandfather was a photojournalist. And because of Elliot's father and grandfather, the family had an incredibly comfortable life. But Elliot could not find happiness, even as a young child. His parents could see that there was a lot going on that they couldn't handle on their own. So at 8 years old, they started taking Elliot to therapy. He moved around to multiple therapists, but was never officially diagnosed with anything. Everything started to go downhill once Elliot's parents got divorced. A year later, his father met and remarried another woman. At that time, Elliot was 7 years old. Yet, for some reason, when Elliot looked at his father, he was exactly what he aspired to be. He wanted women to love him and find him attractive, and his dad was doing it with ease, apparently. You get treated differently when you have lots of money, and Elliot realized that high-status people get better treatment than low-status people. So from that point on, he was determined to be one of the cool kids. As Elliot started to get older, things shifted for him a lot. After a while, Elliot started to realize that the cool kids would never fully accept him. It didn't matter if he had the best clothes or the most expensive car. So after that epiphany, he began to resent them. And when it came to girls, Elliot developed an intense hatred. He even started up his own blog and eventually a YouTube channel. It was here that he would document all of his thoughts, stream of consciousness style, and upload it for the world to see. He hated that women didn't find him attractive and didn't want to sleep with him, which is all he wanted to do. Well, the further you dive into these online forums, the more strange the communities can get. And one of the absolute worst groups on the internet is called Incels. Incel stands for involuntary celibacy, which consists of a bunch of guys feeling sorry for themselves because women don't want to date them or do the deed with them. So instead of changing his perspective and pondering what he could be bringing to the table, Elliot turned the blame on women completely. Women are selfish and evil because they don't want to get with me. It's just such a whiny baby attitude, and it's really dangerous and damaging. Elliot graduated high school with nothing but a lot of hatred for people in his heart and decided to bring that with him to college. After trying out 2 colleges and deciding they weren't for him, he arrived at Santa Barbara City College. Once Elliot was at Santa Barbara, he started to have serious thoughts about planning something terrible. So he decided he would give women one last year to hook up with him before he turned 22 years old, or else he would become violent. Are you following the logic here? Because I can't find any. There are a couple more minor incidents around 2011 and 2012 where Elliot started to test his limits. Okay, and I say minor, but only in comparison to what I'm going to talk about later. One night, Elliot walked by a party and decided he wanted to go. He was determined to give any potential woman one last chance to get with him. There, he found a small group of girls and tried to flirt with them, to which they declined. Elliot could not handle the rejection from these girls and felt like they were mocking him. How did he respond? By trying to push the girls off a 10-foot ledge. A group of guys saw what was going on and actually ended up pushing Elliot off the 10-foot ledge instead. He hurt his ankle pretty badly when he landed, but came back to grab his sunglasses. And when Elliot returned, the same group of guys beat him up pretty badly. Unfortunately, this was the last straw before he decided to put his revenge plan into motion. In September, Elliot purchased 3 firearms from 3 different cities and would hang out at the shooting range to practice. He'd never been formally diagnosed with any mental illnesses, which made it way easier to get a hold of the firearms. It was around this same time Elliot began writing his manifesto called My Twisted World, the Story of Elliot Rodger. Oh, and by the way, there's quite literally nothing in that over 107,000 word manifesto worth reading at all. And on May 23rd, 2014, Elliot began his killing spree at his own apartment on Seville Road, where he tragically ended his roommates' lives by blade. 20-year-olds Wei Han Wang and Chen Yuan Hong and their friend, 19-year-old George Chen, passed away that day. At around 8:30, he was spotted in his car, working on his laptop. Less than an hour later, at 9:17, Elliot posted his last YouTube video titled Retribution. After this, he sent out his manifesto to a list of 34 people, including his therapist. Once Elliot's therapist got a hold of the letter, they called up Elliot's mother. She discovered Elliot's YouTube video and phoned up his father. The 2 parents hopped in their cars and started driving for Santa Barbara, calling the police along the way. Elliot then went to the Alpha Phi sorority house with the intention to massacre everyone inside. He knocked on the door multiple times, but no one answered. So instead, Elliot saw a few girls walking nearby and decided they were good enough. He revealed his weapons and began firing at them. Sadly, 2 women passed away from their injuries. One survived but was severely injured. But Elliot wasn't finished quite yet. So he started driving around, firing into coffee shops and delis, hitting cyclists, bikers, anyone who was around. Then Elliot began driving down the wrong side of the road, hitting multiple pedestrians along the way and firing wherever he wanted, without any care for who he hit. Elliot's reckless driving led him to crash next to an intersection and hit a cyclist. When the police finally caught up to the madness, they found Elliot in the front seat of his car with a bullet wound to his head. He had taken his own life with the same weapons he used to take others. What is most disgusting about this entire story is the rotten people of the incel community who praised Elliot for what he had done. Incels from all over the internet showed their support for the atrocious acts he had committed and even called him a hero. On the other side, what Elliot Rodger did is best known as misogynist terrorism. And that, my friends, is the absolutely horrific case of Elliot Rodger and the 2014 Isla Vista killings. I know that this one in particular was a lot to take in, so take some time after this video to do something that brings you joy, like scrolling through Puppy Talk or something like that. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on Killer Bites.